Hey there, this is Candace Craw-Goldman from quantumhealers.com. A couple days ago, my wonderful friend and colleague, quantum healer Chrysilla Lewies, called together some other quantum healers to have a conversation, all about mystical events, intuition, dreams, etc. And so this is an introduction to tell you what happened after we got together. That was on a Monday, and today's a Wednesday. So I'd had a dream about Chrysilla before the event ever took place. And after the event took place on Monday night, I had another dream. And in that dream, Chrysilla was in a house, and houses to me typically mean family. And she was in charge of cleaning up all the messes. There was messes everywhere. There was things like that. And I simply was watching her sort of cleaning up a mess in her house. And when I woke up early the morning of the next day, which was Tuesday, I woke up and the very first thing I saw when I had opened my phone, when I got to the kitchen and started making coffee, was an email, or not an email, a text from Chrysilla. And she had told me, you know what? I am going to Africa. After all, I have to go. And she's needed by her family for assistance. And we won't get into any of the personal details. But I just found that was amazing because it matched her other dreams, which there was already some interesting details that matched them. And then I immediately dreamed of her again, and it also matched. So I wanted to let you know about that as you watch the following conversation.
It's something that I always ask myself. There are two things. Do I make this happen, or am I seeing future possibilities? Or is this one and the same? And two, if I tell anyone, it won't happen.
I think it's miraculous just that we're all able to get together.
Me too.
On a Monday.
Yes, on a Monday.
Infinitely miraculous.
Yeah.
A very warm welcome to everyone. Today we are sharing our mystical adventures through the human experience. I felt called to reach out to see who else have been having magical and wonderful experiences. I myself go through stages where things happen one after another, and I get so excited that I just want to share it with like-minded people like yourself. And I felt a calling to get together. Oftentimes we forget what a wonderful community we have. And I just want to take a moment to say I appreciate you and I love you for being here in this wonderful space. And today, as quantum healers, we can come together and share. So thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Okay, I'd like to introduce our very own Candace Craw-Goldman, the creator of PQH and also the brand new course, Quantum Connect. Thank you for being here, Candace.
Thank you, Cilla. I'm so happy you called us all together.
Candace also runs the amazing forum called Quantum Healers. And we will be sharing a lot about the forum, the site itself, and where you can find us, because that is where we all are. Then today as well, Aura, thank you for being here. Aura
Thank you for having me.
Oh. Aura, you're the owner and founder of Aura Universe, and I know that you practice many modalities and run your own courses and webinars yourself. So I looked at a few of those before we joined today, so I definitely have a few questions I would like to ask you as well with some of the amazing experiences you've had. And Donna, an author and a quantum healer, thank you for joining us today.
You're so welcome. Thank you, Zilla.
So I take it that all of you joined because you've had some magical experiences. Well, for me, it all started with dream time, where I had some fascinating dreams. So one of them was I woke up. No, let me start with the dream first, because that's important. So I dreamt my parents flew all the way from South Africa just to tell me they were getting married. They're already married. They're already married. And they flew 11 hours, 11-hour flight just to tell me, you have to get on a plane. We're getting married tomorrow. And I was in such a panic, because how am I going to make it? You know, another 11 hours flight, need to pack, don't have my passport. So I felt a bit of anxiety in the dream and a bit of a panic, because how am I going to make all this happen? And as I was walking through the airport, I saw a dear friend of mine who is at the moment not too well, but we're hoping that, you know, healing goes where it's needed and she pulls through. And at the same time, so we had a friend there that I saw in the dream, and my parents were getting married. I wake up, so this is the next morning. What a strange dream that was. I didn't think anything of it. So I wake up, and the first message I check from my mom, because we're always saying good morning to each other, and she always shares a little status, and she says, watched the most amazing wedding video last night, or movie. You need to watch this. And I was like, oh my goodness, that's just so weird. So strange. So I opened Facebook, and it was my friend's birthday. And all these birthday messages were pouring in. And I'm like, wow, I just saw you just moments ago in my wonderful dream at the airport, and we were waving at each other. So hopefully there'll be a reconnection there soon, that I'll be seeing her as well. And 2 wedding invitations as well has come through. So to attend some weddings, which is lovely. And all of these synchronicities just kind of got me so excited. It's like, wow, who can I share these amazing stories with without sounding crazy? Because that's the theme. That's always the theme, that we seem to touch the, you know, what's she on about? Is she in a different universe? Most likely, yes. We are all in tune in different levels. And then with manifestation, I got this amazing projector. And I was looking for a projector screen. And every day I get these free cycle emails where people, you know, donate things or unwanted items. And as soon as I opened the free cycle email, the first thing that popped up was a projector screen. I was like, yes. And I'm like, let's have a look to see where it's located. And it was exactly located where I was going that day. And it just worked out brilliantly. And all in a space of just a couple of days, I was like, whoa, what is going on? What is going on?
Donna has something to say. I know she does.
Oh, well, you know, it's just so synchronistically aligned. And that's what we say, right? Like, for example, when Candace, you made a post about your father's birthday, and everyone had to send a newspaper, and I couldn't help but chuckle to myself. And this is people watching will have to wait in anticipation until he gets the paper, because I opened the crossword and I looked at the very, very first question. Should I give it away?
You should.
And it says, what is the first thing that was seen in Close Encounters?
Oh my gosh.
And the answer is alien, I think.
Oh my gosh.
It was a 4-letter word. And I thought, oh my goodness, Candace will just have a little laugh over that when she
That is funny.
looks at the crossword.
That's great.
Wow. I love that, Cilla. And I would say the synchronicities just continue to be more and more obvious for me. The hard part is noticing, you know, being conscious and aware enough of the time that I really am like, wow, and wow, and wow, you know. Because I feel like I miss a lot of them. I don't know if you guys feel like you probably are missing, but just, we get so busy and so focused on other things. And I feel like the more that I notice them and then either talk about them like we are now, or at least write them down, then the more noticeable they become. So I'm loving lately the little, they're not really little, but the practical things. We're working on, finishing up a remodel of a little A-frame for my father-in-law to move into. And just practical things like an impulse to stop at the Restore down in Colorado Springs. And I know I have to buy paint coming up, and finding that they carry this line of green paint made from recycled materials with very little or no chemicals in it, just stuff like that. And I'm like, oh, wow, thank you. I feel like my team is so out ahead of me sometimes, or probably all the time, honestly. I'm sure it's all the time they're out ahead of me. But when I stop to notice it and be so grateful and in the moment and talk about it or write about it, I notice it more and more. So for me, that's my focus, has been to be so conscious and so aware all the time that I'm noticing all the synchronicities and all the magic, all the mystical stuff that's going on always.
Yeah. No, because I was thinking, like you also said, Donna, that it's important to notice it. And for me, it's important to stick with it, because I'm in awe of so many synchronicities that are happening. And then I immediately go to the mundane, to the things that weigh more, that are denser, instead of remaining in this lighter frequency of constantly being in the space of magic and awe. For me, I had so many. I mean, they just keep coming, and I keep wondering. I'm always thinking about this thing, like being in the bridge between the astral and between the physical, and I feel like I'm more and more personally in that bridge situation, in that bridge area. Like just last Friday, for instance, I woke up in the morning, and because I've been overworking a lot the past week, I said to myself last Friday, I said, today I finish at 3, but it was more like a voice in my head that I heard, today I finish at 3. And then I just went on with my day and I started working, and I'm never looking at the clock. That's why I tend to overwork, forget to eat lunch and things like this. And suddenly my dog comes, Cosmos. He comes, starts licking my face, starts bothering me. And I ask him, does this mean it's time to stop working? And then I look at the clock and it's 3. And then I'm like, okay, just a little bit. I just want to finish this. So I'm typing, and the program crashes. But before the program crashed, I had a message. I don't know what I clicked. I had a message asking, do you want to save? And I was like, yes, I want to save. It was a clear message. We are working until 3. We, I mean me and all the other me's, working until 3, and we stop now, because that's what we said at the beginning of the day. And somehow I have here, this is my miracle journey, diary, what is it called? Journal, sorry. And this is where I always write with the time and the date, all the different things that are happening in my life. And it's been crazy. And lately I've been playing around with it. Like I was playing cards with my husband, Uno, if you know the game. Yes. And I would try to, without trying to think of it, I would know the card that he puts down, and I would know the number and the color and everything. And it would be one after the other, after the other, after the other. And it was insane. It was crazy. We stopped playing after a while because it was just useless to continue to play. But I didn't try to think of it, just like in the game, right? When we do In Conscious Connect, don't think of it, just know it. Just know what's happening, know what is. And it's funny how we actually do have this knowledge within us. It's just a matter of allowing ourselves to access it. And I think my main question with this, and again, regarding manifestation, is, do I make these things happen? Or it's something that I always ask myself. There are 2 things. Do I make this happen, or am I seeing future possibilities? Or is this one and the same? And 2, if I tell anyone, it won't happen. It's something that I always keep in my mind. Yeah.
That's so funny. I love that you mentioned the you do these things without trying or without,
Mm.
consciously being like, I want to see the card that, know the cards that he's going to put down, stuff like that. You just notice it's happening. And I had a very similar experience last night, last evening with my husband. We decided we had a really light early dinner. And so we decided to have a strawberry shortcake, by which we mean we make little pancakes and then put fresh strawberries on them, and then some whipped cream whipped with just a little bit of Kahlua, and that's it. It's just fantastic. So anyway, we're making this, both of us just kind of going about our thing. And in my mind, I'm over here doing something, and in my mind, I'm telling him, in my mind, hey, would you, put those dirty or put the rest of the quinoa into a container and then give me the pot and I'll wash it. And I'm just saying, I'm in my mind, I'm doing this, but I'm not really thinking that I'm trying to send that to him or anything. It's something that was going through my mind, but I didn't speak it aloud. And he gets, the quinoa and the dish that I'm thinking about him getting and puts it into it. And I was like, hey, I was just saying in my mind for you to do that. And he's like, I know, I heard you, but it was without trying, because we like to play around with telepathy and stuff like that. But it seems like so much of the time when I'm trying, it doesn't happen. But when stuff like this, it happens, he's like, yeah, I totally heard you saying, hey, get that specific dish, put the quinoa in it and give you the pot. So I love that you mentioned that.
Yeah, this happens with my husband a lot too, and with my dog as well. I tell him, stop scratching, just lay down and go to sleep. And he immediately stops, lays down where I tell him to go lay down in my head, and goes to sleep with his complaining. How they sometimes complain before they do something. Yeah. Oh, this is so cool.
Yeah. I'm also really enjoying getting a little braver with some people in how you think of people, and I always wonder if they're thinking of me and kind of who started it, like, did I think of them first, or did they think of me first, or whatever. And getting a little braver with talking to people who aren't necessarily in our world about those kinds of things. And they love it. There's been a couple of close friends lately who, one of them I had a dream about recently. And so then I was having coffee with him and was telling him, I dream about you a lot. And recently, and I've started to notice, especially with him specifically, when I dream of him, I've started to notice the last 3 times, either he or his daughter, who is 22 or 23, will contact me, like usually within a day or so, if he's in my dream. And so I was telling him about that, and he just thought it was the coolest thing. So I think it's fun to have that conversation with more and more people of like, hey, do you ever, just randomly think of me and wonder about if there's actually a connection going on?
Without sounding like a stalker.
Well, pardon me with all of my machinations here, but I'm needing plug-in power because, sorry, before I lose you all. I love that you brought up dreams, because that's one of the things I need to share. 2 nights ago, and I've been dreaming a lot about meeting up with friends and colleagues in the dream world, a lot. And 2 nights ago, I don't even know if I told you this, Cilla, I dreamed about you. I did not tell you, did I? I actually told, ended up, just because Allison Brown and Will Brown was there. They were there with you. And I had just woken up from this dream, and they're on the East Coast, so they're a little ahead of time. And I was just doing my morning chores, thinking about this dream that I had, and Allison texted me. Now, it's not completely unusual that Allison texts me, but I don't text her every day, or we don't text each other every day. And she texted me about something. And I said, I just woke up from a dream about you and Cilla and Will. And it was a really, really interesting dream, because Cilla, it was your event. You were setting up for an event. And I mean, look, here's an event right here. And this event actually was for children. Now, not saying we're children, but, we always talk about playing like a child, right? I mean, that's kind of what I'm getting from this. So anyway, it was this benefit, like a benefit auction or something for kids. And we were setting up and we were having so much fun together. And so this was all your idea. Okay. And you were doing most of the stuff and sort of directing people in it. And at one point, Will and Allison and I think were putting some chairs up in a row. And then Will actually turned and said, and so Will is a channel. And Will says to me in the dream, he says, the collective has a message for you. And I thought, okay, well, that's interesting. And this is the group of beings that he typically channels for answering questions for people and all kinds of other things, grander even than the human experience. But he's like, well, I have a message for you. And he actually turns around. So he's not going to say anything. Obviously, he's going to give me something. He turns around and it's a laundry basket. And he hands me this laundry basket. And he just smiles. He doesn't say anything. And I'm looking at this laundry basket. And I'm still decoding this dream. I think I've got a clue about it. But maybe I'll get your thoughts on it. All of you, if you want. And I look down in this basket. And what I see are some bed sheets. But they're not just random bed sheets. They are, from what I can tell, they're all flat sheets. So they're not the fitted sheets. They're all just the flat sheets. And I recognize every single pattern in the sheets. And they're all from my life, including like all the way back to when I was a kid kind of sheets. I mean, I don't know about you guys, but if someone were to pull up a sheet from your childhood, you'd probably go, hey, I recognize that pattern, right? Especially with my mother who had, sorry, Mom, no taste whatsoever. And we had just the craziest patterns. The other day, I was picking out some chicken apron fabric. Do you guys know what a chicken apron is? I know I'm going on a tangent, but I was showing my daughter, Lauren, I'm like, I really wanted this design because it has wing covers and my chicken aprons need to have wing covers. This is the only person I see on Etsy who's making them that way. But here's the fabric selection. I picked this one and I picked it thinking, oh God, they're all so ugly. Sorry, Etsy lady, if you happen to possibly see this, I'm sure you're not new, but anyway, I thought, well, I'll pick this one over here. And I'm looking at it and I'm like, that's just about as ugly as that. That reminds me like of my mother and sheets or t-shirts or something. And I was showing Lauren these fabric colors. I'm saying they're truly awful. She goes, but yeah, she says, you picked the best one. It reminds me of Baba and the kind of fabrics she picks too. Anyway, what do you guys think about the sheets? I have an idea. I'd love to know what your intuition might say about why this message was coming to me through Will about these sheets.
Was the laundry basket solid or did it have holes in it?
Well, it definitely had holes in it. It was just your basic, it was actually wicker though. It was a wicker basket, so it wasn't plastic. It was a wicker, what the hell?
The first thing that comes to my mind, Candace, is that old saying of you made your bed, now lie in it.
Mm-hmm.
And, just the collective energetic support and opportunities that we have right now to let go of all of that, all of the beds we've made and have been lying in.
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah, to wash those through, as David Manning talks about or leads us in meditations all the time, to really wash through the fabrics of our lives.
That's a great way of looking at it. So one of the things I looked at was, well, first I noticed they weren't folded nicely. They weren't dirty. I could tell they were like they were washed and dried and clean. They just were sort of rumpled and all tossed together there. But dreaming is such an important aspect of my own way of tapping in. And as I pondered and pondered this imagery of looking down into this basket, for me, it kind of looked, and by the way, Will had Donna, that was his reaction too. But I've pondered and pondered all of those sheets. They were all, they weren't the ones behind me. They were the ones covering me, but they were all, of course, intimately, as objects would be, involved in holding me during all of those years of dreaming. And something about putting them all together in this place, and then we're in this venue where we're having so much fun. It's basically a party, but it's a party with a purpose, right? It's not just, hey, we're here to have fun. It's a benefit. It's a benefit for the children. And, I really think the children may be us. So.
Okay, so the way I see it is when your house is in order, the laundry basket's empty and your beds are made. So the basket's full and the laundry isn't folded in any particular way. So for me, that is an indication of, you're running a household, trying to keep up with everything. And
this is true.
And you're making time as much as you can, but you haven't gotten to the bed sheets yet, which for me is don't give up on the things you've worked so hard for. Just continue, even if it's just folding one sheet a day, doing little bits to get to the bottom of the pile.
I like it.
That's how I see that.
I love how we're all seeing a different thing. And again, how actually the most important thing is what the interpretation of the dreamer himself, and not what anybody else gets for their filter, but also we can put pieces of the puzzle together, right?
Yes.
Because the first thing that came to me was somehow taking a break, because as I saw the basket that you had received, and I saw it being like a woven wooden.
Yep.
And my first thought when you talked about the sheets from your childhood, I was thinking maybe it's a time for you to maybe just take a break and go back to retreat into your childhoodness, into who you were once as a child, because now you have this hectic life, also like what Cilla picked up on, and the taking care of others, and all the bed sheets that all the beds you made, right? The way we laid beds for others, also what Donna picked up on. And in a way, the first thing that came to me was maybe it's time to just take time for yourself a little bit and dive into the childhood and the play that you once had and probably left behind a little bit too much. And I don't know, maybe I thought it's a time to,
Yep, definitely trying to do that. What I love so much, or especially, is that you connected this to this modality, Quantum Connect, that we all have been a part of and have been using with our clients, either in part or as standalone sessions. These Quantum Connect sessions that we do with people bring us to this place where we talk about just exactly that, some of the imagery that comes up with the client doing this work. And it's just so poignantly and brilliantly points out that you can bring dreams to others, but the most important person to analyze that dream is the dreamer themselves. And we make that a big point in the Quantum Connect materials. So thanks for bringing that up. I've got other magical things that have happened too, but let's hear from somebody else. What else?
I have some heavy
on?
ones.
Oh,
I have some heavy ones, which are, life is the entire spectrum of all that is. Yes. And the crazy thing about these dreams is that they were premonitions in a way that could not be changed. And this started happening when I was a teenager. I was like a young teenager, 13, 14 years old. And it was random things at first. I was dreaming of the way I would get dressed to go to school. And whatever I tried everything in my power, because I had this funny feeling when I woke up that it was a premonition dream. So I tried everything in my power to not dress that way. And when I left the house and I was on my way, I was like, oh, no, I'm dressed exactly like in my dream. And then I would go to school and I would have the exact same conversations with the people that I would never dare to have conversations with. I don't know if you were the same like me, but I always thought that those who were 1, 2, 3 years older were gods and people that nobody talks. I would never dare to talk to them just because they were a bit older. And they would address me exactly as they did in the dream, being dressed exactly the same way, wearing glasses the way I never saw them wear before in real life. So this was random things that I would dream of, and they would happen more and more. But then the worst thing that I've actually, the first dream outside of myself, outside of my life that ever happened was London, July 2005. I was on my way with my family. We were in the car. We were 5 people in the car. It was my grandparents, my dad, and my sister, and me. And we were driving from Romania to Sweden. Back then, we would do the 3,000-kilometer drive by car. And I woke up from a dream where my heart is beating, just remembering it now. I died 4 times. And usually in normal dreams, when I would die, I would wake up. But in this dream, I didn't wake up. The dream continued. And I was in London in the double-decker once. I died there. And then I died 3 times in the metro station, in the underground. And I felt the blast of the explosions. I felt, it's like that dream, I dreamt through the bodies of the people that died. I was in the bodies. And then this started happening more and more with me, that I don't know why, it's always these horrible things, like I'm in executions and weird things that then I find out they actually happen, and they happen exactly the way that I dreamt them. And a few hours later, when I woke up, I was trying to figure out what that dream was, and I thought we were going to have a car accident and die. I've never been to London in my life to this day, but it was so real, the double-decker, the everything. And then I hear on the news that there were 4 attacks where people died, and I was there, and I felt so horrible because my first thought was I could have saved these people. I could have done something. And then I thought, who would have believed a 15, 16-year-old? Or they would have thought that I might have something to do with it. And it's all these kind of thoughts that were popping in my head. But for years, I felt horrible. And then it happened again when I was another accident like this. Another explosion was the one in Beirut 2020, I think it was. Again, I woke up in the morning. I was in Beirut. The explosion happened. And I wake up and I thought, oh my God, something's going to explode. Somewhere, something's happening. And then I see the news. And again, it's nothing I can do about it. It's always too late. And it's exactly the way. The Ukraine war. I don't remember who I told this to. I don't know if I told it to my husband, and I think I told it to another person that I know. I woke up in the morning from a dream where I was on the streets. Explosions were happening. People with their suitcases, but suitcases like they have for traveling, with hurt and everywhere, broken glass, broken buildings, war situation. And then I hear that the war broke loose in Ukraine. So it's things that, first of all, I don't have time to tell anyone. Second of all, if I do, then what happened? Like, what can I do to change these things? And then also, why do I have to dream this? Why is this happening in a way? Because it's not like I can do anything about it. And I don't know if it happens just for me to go out there into the world and tell people like, hey, look, you can actually tap into these things, and we all have this ability, because this is something that throughout my life, since I was a kid, I wanted to tell people how powerful they are, how amazing their minds are, and things that we can do. But yeah, like I didn't know how. And somehow this work now with quantum healing, this is what I always say, is it allows me to show people the power that they have through these sessions. And at the same time, it's these horrible things that are, that I pick up on exactly the way they happen. And I don't get symbols or anything. I'm there, I'm teleported there. And
yeah,
You
you're
know,
definitely
or
tapping into something.
what comes to mind around that is, whether we are learning of something before it happens or after. I think when it comes across our radar, we have great power to help, to assist, as you know, by channeling light, channeling whatever our spiritual team tells us is needed by those beings in those places at those times. So, it just makes me wonder if the timing of that for you before the events is not to show you or an indication of the great power you do have to channel whatever's needed into those situations and to those beings that are going to experience that. I don't learn about things before, but when I learn about things after they've happened, I know that that's always the purpose of why something comes across my reality or my radar, is because in some way I can assist. And so then it's just for me tapping in, how can I be of assistance? And then listening and doing that. And, often it is the energetic support that's needed. So thanks for sharing that. That's pretty incredible. And I'm sure in some ways a great burden would feel like a great burden. So I get that.
And thank you for mentioning this, for this reminder, because you are so right. But I never thought to apply it to this specific things that I dream of exactly the way they happen just a few hours before they do. But I do apply it through other situations where I don't have the connection to TV or media, where I don't have confirmation. And I do use, exactly as you said, to send light, to send my love, to try and help as I can energetically. And we all have the power to do this. Again, I just want to connect to this thread here. We have immense power to affect and change things. And even it happened to me with rain, also with a friend that now she no longer lives in Australia. But I was telling her it was burning. Everything was burning. It was one of these summers. And it was just smoke everywhere. They couldn't open the windows. The neighborhood next to them was burning. And I talked to her about what the Indians, the Native Americans were doing, how they would feel the rain, right? And do the rain dances, feeling how they step on rain while dancing and splashing in the water. And as I told her this, and I told her, just feel the rain on your nose, on your face, dripping on you, she started screaming on the phone. It started raining. And it's so beautiful. And then she started screaming at her husband, oh my God, Corey, you cannot believe it just started raining. This is insane. And I'm doing this with Aura on the phone. And I mean, we have this power, right?
Yeah.
We really do. I've got a fun story that I started telling on Facebook and I didn't finish it. So I've got the rest of the story, so to speak. So a couple weeks ago, my cat, my 23-year-old cat, Nikki, I was on my way home. Tom was watching my dad. I had been working or doing something, errands or whatever. And he called me. I was about 15 minutes away from the farm. And he said, where are you? And I didn't like the sound of that at all, because if he starts out saying that, something's not quite right. And I told him, and, I'm like, please tell me what this is about right away. And he says, well, it's Nikki. He says, I don't know if he's broken his leg or dislocated his leg or what, but he described it, he was walking like this, he's like, something's just wrong. And it was right at 5 o'clock. So the local vets were closing. And he said, what should I do? I said, well, he said he doesn't seem to be in pain. He's actually trying to walk. And I said, well, take a video, but don't send it to me because I don't want to look at it. Also, I'm driving. Send it directly to my vet. And if she doesn't answer right away, I'll call the emergency line there. And anyway, she was in a horse emergency. I got on with the vet that was online. They said, can you get home and bring him here right away? We'll see what's what. And so I went home and I got him, and I'm anticipating what will happen. They may take x-rays. They may try to figure this out. Also, he's 23, and, you know, he's 23 and not quite right up in the gray matter. And I'm wondering about what's going to happen. And I get to, our road hits a main highway like this. And I'm always interested in directions, by the way. And, oh, yes, I should mention that I had been shopping, and I actually got some housewarming gifts for my son and daughter-in-law. I moved into a new home. And they were in the very back of the car I was driving, which is a triple, this matters, front seat, medium seat, and all the way in back there's a third seat, or it can be a little cargo area. And all of that was in the back, in the very, very back. And I got to the road and then the highway, and right as I turned, everything changed. I mean, I could just feel it change. Everything changed. And it's really pretty interesting too. I was turning south. And at the moment I turned south, I just knew that Nikki wasn't coming home. You know, we have that phrase, going south, as in, you know, you're going down, right? And I just knew at that moment that I wasn't going to be doing any x-rays. And I don't know if, you know, what's going on or how this will, but he's not coming home. He's just not coming home. And part of me, of course, is making peace with this. The cat is 23. It has been through amazing things, but of course, also, I don't know how many of you out there have ever had an animal for 23 years. It's a long, long time to have a relationship with a companion animal. And anyway, so I get there. And sure enough, we decide that what has happened is that he's actually had a stroke. He can't feel his leg. His pupils are fixed, mostly dilated. It's just not good. And, you know, we humanely end his suffering. Although suffering is, you know, he wasn't in any pain. He wasn't going to be able to keep going like that, though. I mean, he just wasn't. My own mother died of a stroke, and I know what that means. And that was pretty much it. So I'm coming home, and of course I'm crying and all of that, and I'm over it. It's okay. I mean, I'm not over it, but I'm over the shock of it. And when I get home, I decide, after coming in and sort of sharing the news, I go back out to the car to get my items from the day. And what I had done is, we have this really wonderful vinegar and oil store downtown Wichita. And I had got the most amazing vinegar and oils collection, and a big vinegar and oil cookbook for my son and daughter-in-law for their housewarming gift. They're foodies. And I also got these really, really cute paper bags that they fit in, these gift bags, handmade paper, so gorgeous. And the lady who was helping me put all of this together, she said, you know, let me help you out to your car with them, you know, because you don't want to, because I had gotten a number of items. And so she helped me come out to the car, and we placed them very carefully in the very, very back of the truck, very carefully, so that they wouldn't move around, because there's bottles, even though they were in the gift bags and stuff. So I go get all of that, and I bring it in to show Tom, and I pull out the gift bags. And these gift bags were pretty large, with 375 milliliter bottles. And and so I had 4 of them, and I'm looking in these gift bags, and one of them's gone. You know, the one vinegar is gone. And I just so surprised that it's gone. And I go back out to the car after a while and I look for it, but it's starting to get dark and I can't find it anywhere. And it doesn't make any sense because there's not a lot of things in that car. It's actually our daughter's car and I've been driving it. And I'm like, well, I can't do this anymore. I'm just going to go to bed. And the next day I go back out to the car and I start pulling everything out, but there's not a lot in the car, but I pull everything out. I lift up the seats. I go through the whole entire car. I even go, it's stupid, I know, but I open up the thing in between the seats and I look in there, even though it couldn't have gotten in there. Even open up the glove box. I'm like, I'm looking everywhere and it's nowhere. It is absolutely nowhere. And I call up the vinegar lady and I said, did I leave that on the counter? She goes, no, I put it in that gift bag. I said, I know. But I don't have it. And she's like, that's so weird. And so I start talking to her about the Mandela effect. I said, have you ever heard of the Mandela effect? She goes, it's so strange you happen to mention that. I was just talking about that with my friend just yesterday. And he had never heard of it. And I didn't know it had anything to do with objects. I thought it was mostly just events or things like that. And I said, no. You can think of it that way too. It's sort of timeline convergence or timeline, crossing or things like that. And so I was telling her some different experiences that I had about objects that just either gone and came back or gone forever. Large, ridiculous objects. My favorite's a big rug that just left my house from one. I left the house to go somewhere and I came back and this giant entryway rug was gone. It's like, how does that even happen, right? But this has been my world. So I was telling her about that and some other things. And I said, and she said, well, I'll get you another bottle. I said, I said, I'm going to keep looking, but I'm going to go really look at I'm going to tear that car apart even more. I said, but I'm going to let you know if I can't find it, because actually, she goes, well, I hope you find it. I said, you know what? I hope I don't find it. It makes a better story, actually. And I'll come back and get another one. And so I go back out to the car, and this time I really do the thing. I mean, I pull the seats out, I pull the seats out. Like, could it somehow have, the places where you can, right? Where you can pull it up. And sometimes there's storage underneath. And of course, none of that makes any sense because it was in these gift bags in another bag, so anyway, it's just nowhere. And I'm going on with my days. And about a week later, I'm driving the car and I'm headed somewhere else. And I make a turn, this time on that road, on the same road, by the way. I make a turn, not going south, but going north. I turn to the north and I hear a clink. And the clink is right at my feet. It's right underneath my feet. It's right, maybe underneath my seat. Now, I'm in this habit of drinking. Actually, I have one right here. I'm drinking a lot of these days. Topo Chico. This is my favorite drink these days. It's a bubbly mineral water, a Mexican mineral water that I just love. And I like them in the bottles. I really like them in the glass bottles more than the plastic bottles. And I thought, well, I must have left one in the car. And I'm thinking, I don't know how that's happened because I cleaned this car so completely out. And I'm thinking, well, maybe I had one that I forgot about yesterday or whatever. And I get to where I'm going and I look, and it's underneath the front seat of the driver's car, and it's that bottle of vinegar. Now, there's just no way that vinegar could have gone from the bag, out of the other bag, out of the paper that it was wrapped in, from the 3 seats behind, through to the front. There's just no way. Even if you would have put something back there and slam on your brakes or whatever, it couldn't possibly go through all of those areas to get it to the bottom underneath my seat, and there it came back. But what was really interesting was it happened right at the place, right at the road where I knew like Nikki wasn't coming, and so the world changed a little bit right then and there. I knew I was gonna go to a place, or this change washed over me, right? Life will be different now without my Nikki as I make that turn, and it's in the same exact spot about a week later that I turn and I go up and I hear clink, and the bottle came back.
I love that, Candace. Right here, you can see behind me, this is my session room. Most of the time I do online sessions, but Diana and I primarily do our professional surrogate sessions here. And then, when I do an in-person, I do it here. And I am waiting for the lid to my frankincense bottle to come back. We were using frankincense right before a session. And actually there was 3 of us. It was Diana and I and a friend of ours who we were doing a professional surrogate session for. And because she's a friend, she was here in person for it. And we were all doing, frankincense and different oils. And I can't find this lid to my frankincense. So I'm so glad yours came back. I'm hoping mine comes back.
You will find it. I love stories like that. When I lose things, the first thing I do is I look for it. If I can't find it, the first thing I speak to spirits and I said, I've lost this. Please just, could you just make it appear somewhere where I can find it? And I always find it.
Yes. I do that too.
I
I say, please show me where it is. And I see it somewhere where I know I already looked 10 times, but it just appears in plain sight out of nowhere.
I figure that bottle needs to be open and it needs to be dispersing in the room, I guess.
Right. I kind of like the idea, though, that what this kind of conversation can do for those who are listening is, especially if this idea is new to you, if you find it interesting and intriguing, you have just set in motion the idea that and the possibility has become so much greater in your own life for you to experience this. And it's not to frustrate you or anything, but I think somehow to propose this idea that really all of this out there is a projection in some way, right? That the only reality is really within you. And then when it becomes so malleable like that, and when things happen like that, and so when we all do professional quantum healing, and when some of these sometimes very physical healings happen, and things are shifted, conditions leave or become markedly better, or bones heal, or in the extreme wonderful cases of spontaneous healings of whatever, whether they be complete remissions of things, of diseases or tumors, or discs that were just damaged that aren't anymore in somebody's back. And these aren't everyday instances, but they do happen, and they keep us going, right? Because this kind of magic that happens is created by this human spirit within us that is open to the possibility and is open to sort of the joy of it and the creative aspects that come with that. And knowing that things can just go, be there 1 minute and gone the next, and then sometimes then gone and then come back. When you open your mind to that, there's a whole lot more that can happen in your world that and it gives you this idea that you are more powerful than you've ever been let to know, and maybe more is possible for you and your loved ones and your life than you might have considered before. And that can even be from a little bottle cap, or a bottle of vinegar, or a big fat rug that just disappears.
Well, we are coming to
Absolutely.
time. Have you, just a quick question, have you all heard of Edgar Cayce, the sleeping prophet? So, funny story, I had no idea we were going to talk about like dreams the way we have today. I know I was going to start with my dream, but I was looking at prophecies today out of curiosity of what they have picked up for the future. But this isn't a future prophecy. I actually came across something Edgar Cayce spoke about dreams, and I'm going to read that, if that's okay. So Edgar Cayce famously said that nothing of importance happens in our lives that isn't first foreshadowed by a dream. This doesn't mean that all of our dreams predict the future, nor do they necessarily tell us what to do. but they do provide insight from our subconscious minds to assist us with whatever is going on in our lives. The best interpreter of any dream is the dreamer. Dreams are very personal messages that require intimate knowledge of the dreamer, and professionals may offer clues, but they cannot authoritatively analyze another person's dreams. So I
Oh my
found
gosh, perfect.
very apt for today. So thank
Perfect.
you very, very much for joining us and sharing. I wish we had more time. There was still so much to share and so much knowledge and experience that we could have given. And I know there's so many people that can learn from us as much as we are learning from each other, and maybe we can do this sometime soon again in the future.
Let's do it again. I had a recent dream walking with lots and lots of lionesses. We were all going in a single direction, and I believe those were more and more colleagues, although a few lions had to have been in there somewhere. It was very feminine energy, and all very purposefully going in a single direction. So thank you for bringing all of that together today, Chrysilla, and thank you, Aura, and thank you, dear Donna. So happy to spend this time with you.
Yes, same. It's so great to be with you guys and just in your energy and your presence and your beautiful faces. And we do need to do this again because I have another story that is we don't have time for today, but involves I've been getting to work with children lately. And so it involves the same weekend, Candace, of David Manning's animal meditation thing, and then your beautiful conversation with him after that. This is the Saturday of that weekend. I got to do a session with a child and involved them talking to nature, talking to animals, and other things. So
Great. It's great.
This is so cool. I love this. I absolutely love this. I love being able to have these type of conversations with like-minded souls, but not just like-minded. It's the fact that we also have so many different stories and so many different perspectives. And I love how all these stories and events are coming together. So thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm so grateful to be part of this. And it's so beautiful to get to talk to you. And I also have more stories.
Yep. And, I know I've already said goodbye once, but I'm going to, jump back in here and just say this, because this is what our support forum is all about. We do this in text form and archived form every day. And we're open to healers of all kinds of healers. So come join us maybe at quantumhealers.com. I'm going to be putting this on our YouTube channel and our new Rumble channel as well.
Wonderful. Okay, until next time. See ya.
Thank you, Cilla. Thank you, Cilla, for holding this. Bye, everyone.
you.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.